Watching the Dell and Emerson show.
Straight talk.
Real gay! Hi, Del Shores.
Oh, here we are on the Tuesday.
Here we are.
Is it hot as fuck in Palm Springs? Because it's hot in LA today.
It is, but we have air conditioners kind of like the ones we grew up with in Texas, you know, where you could have a trailer, but half that trailer is a refrigerator unit where you can make it 68 degrees.
I know.
I mean, this is the first time I've worn a tank top in a show in 2 months because it's icebergy in here.
You look like you got a little sun, a little burn.
Well, no, that's just color. I'm just flushed.
Oh, okay.
Hello, everybody, wherever you're watching us on Facebook, on YouTube, on Periscope, on Twitter. Please share the broadcast. If you have comments or questions, you're welcome to type them. We can see them all, and we'll answer the ones we find interesting. But we got to first talk about, you know, it's not even on the list because it happened this morning. Trump this morning said that there is a vaccine for AIDS.
Woo! I've been worried for 40 years. Woo!
I don't know why we wore all those ribbons and everyone worried and all these safer sex campaigns and undetectable means untransmittable. Guess we didn't need to be doing it. Okay. And then he went on to talk about treatments, you know, and various things. Like, he couldn't just back up and say, that was wrong, I misspoke, there isn't a vaccine. One, I don't know that I trust that he doesn't know that. And two, it matters.
But what I always love it is when he starts trying to cite the sources around him, the doctors that he's just in constant contact with, just brainstorming. I mean, it's almost like he's got test tubes that he's just working in that bunker, you know, on a vaccine with them. He's helping them.
Maybe Nancy Reagan hit it back in the bunker, back when Rock Hudson called and she said, so sorry, who this, and hung up.
That's a good callback.
Wow. And, you know, whatever, he's just that guy at a party who wants to be in every conversation, whether they know something about it or not, right? Like somebody says, oh, you know, I was reading this interesting article about quantum mechanics, and he goes, string theory. I like string cheese. Isn't silly string? There's a theory about how that was made. That's physics, right? Just word salad.
On another note, I sort of was just so excited when he just crippled down that walkway the other day. I don't know why that made me happy.
It made you happy that he couldn't do it?
No, that it looked like he was in pain. I just loved that. I just liked that he was in pain. That's it. That's all.
Well, and just so absurd on every level that he couldn't that he needed to defend that his ego is so small. That it's the same thing. He needed to defend it. He can't admit that he misspoke today. And the thing that matters about today, though, is that people living with HIV still struggle in our country with access to the medications that keep it undetectable. You know, those medications cost like $8 in Australia and like $2,400 a month here. We are still fighting the stigma of this disease, fighting for access to the healthcare for this disease. And he's like, there's a vaccine, it's fine.
And you read all about it. Now you can just take a pill. You can take a pill. I love the way I tweeted something today. I said, we do not need you to repeat every third sentence that you say. We understand your bullshit the first time. So,
yeah.
What is that? What is that about?
He's stupid and he's thinking.
What is that?
He's stupid and he's repeating it to think of the next thing and figuring out where he's following the next pearl on this thread.
Oh, so you think it's like a technique to recover?
Yes, it's a time filler. Like he's too dumb to just say and say the next thing. He has to say the whole sentence over. That's how long it takes to think of the next thought.
But this was, well, not all of it, but a lot of it was on what I watched, he was reading on one of those.
That was like talking at the issue.
It never keeps him from going off book.
Well, anyways, any other exciting things? Didn't you have to go out of the house today?
Oh, I did. You know, I get so anxious when I have to go out of the house, but Emerson, I was really happy to get out of the house because I loaded up my car with a tombstone, with a brother boy robe, Rebecca Shores and I just created bags of, it had to be so organized because I took it over to Charity Bus. Now they are not open, I felt like it was a drug deal or something. They asked me to meet him in like the back of a liquor store, high-end liquor store, up in a parking lot, and got out with masks and gloves and unloading, Rue McClanahan's tombstone. Not her tombstone, but the one that Peggy had. And I do not have Rue McClanahan's tombstone. We did not sell that in an auction. But here's what made me so nervous. I kept thinking, what if anything were to happen? I've got $25,000 worth of bids. Yes, you heard it. Y'all bid $25,000 for all that, and thank you, because our part was about 20 after the auction house got their part, and that all goes to theaters. So it was pretty exciting. And then we launched a new little auction. So it's going well too on eBay.
Hold on, I can show it. Look
at you equipped with everything. Oh, there's a Leslie Jordan lug nut.
So there's a bunch of stuff in this eBay store, y'all, that's signed posters and lug nuts and various sundries. Lavanda's phone from the phone call episode. That's all on eBay.
Look at that, Emerson. I haven't checked it. Did someone bid? Oh yeah, there's a lot of.
Don't get lost in the details. This is a show.
Like saying, did someone bid on my picture?
I just posted the link in the chat, so y'all can click there and see what's left on eBay. And that goes until when?
It only goes like 3. I think it's 4 more days. So it's a fast auction. I mean, we will, if there's something that doesn't sell, we'll relist it. But again, 100% of it all. I'm cleaning out shit, y'all. I'm letting it all go.
So last dollars, lower bid amounts, a little more affordable for y'all.
Yeah.
All right. Well, in continuing our Pride and Protest Month series, and related to supporting Black Lives Matter and Black queer people, there was a huge victory yesterday at the Supreme Court.
Yes.
And also, I got to be honest, I didn't even know what to feel. It feels like there's been so many hits against the community, against other marginalized people. I almost didn't know how to feel. Like I had to read it several times to be like, oh, this really is a really good win for us.
Well, I heard it on CNN when it came in, and they said, the Supreme Court, when she came on and she said, big LGBTQ Supreme Court ruling, and then she said, this is a huge victory. I get chills thinking about it. She said, this is a huge victory for the LGBTQ community. I said, what? I was not expecting it. I was not expecting the good news. And I hate to say that, but with this Supreme Court, with these conservative judges, I was not expecting it.
So the details, it was the ruling related to Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which bans sex discrimination, bans employment discrimination based on sexual orientation and gender identity. It really is a huge win. It came in reference to conflicting decisions at the circuit court level. So we've talked about Gerald Bostock, the social worker in Georgia who was fired after joining a gay softball league. And the second court ruling in the case of Donald Zarda, who was fired as a New York skydiving instructor after telling a client he was gay. One court ruled that was sex discrimination, another ruled that it wasn't. And of course, Amy Stevens, who we talked about, the funeral director, the trans woman who came out and was fired. And neither Zarda or Amy Stevens lived to see this victory. But it seems to be, it was very positive for her wife and for their families. A 6-3 ruling, which was a big deal. I expected 5-4 at best. And even weirder, written by Neil Gorsuch, Donald Trump's first Supreme Court appointee. And now sidebar, I feel like Trump exploded when the ruling came back, that his appointee didn't do what he and his administration wrote briefs in support of. It's like when he got mad at Jeff Sessions for recusing himself. I feel like he's so pissed at Gorsuch.
Like he's mad the guy did his job. He's mad that the judge did his job, the justice did his job.
And so he was joined by conservative John Roberts and, of course, the 4 liberals, Ginsburg, Kagan, Sotomayor, and Breyer. The dissenting conservatives, Alito, Brett Kavanaugh, and Clarence Thomas. But in the decision, Gorsuch said, and this was the big point, an employer who fires an individual for being homosexual or transgender fires that person for traits or actions it would not have questioned in members of a different sex. Sex plays a necessary an undisguisable role in the decision. It's impossible to discriminate against a person for being homosexual or trans without discriminating against the individual based on sex. So that is the big key, that it's, that it really is sex related, because a man who marries a man, that's about his sex. Because if a woman married a man, there's no issue. So it is sex related, even if you're talking about the sexual activity on top of that. So huge, exciting, thrilling victory for employment. And now we just have to keep pushing for the Equality Act so that housing and healthcare and all the other areas of our society and culture are treated the same way.
Well, hopefully this paved the way a little bit, the precedent of this. I sure hope so. But of course, there was the opposition. Let's just talk about the opposition for a second. In two different dissents, the other conservatives argued the court was legislating and threw in some homophobia and some transphobia and little misogyny for good measure.
Naturally.
What's that?
Naturally,
yes. Justice Alito, joined by Thomas, there's an opinion there, actors, brought up the idea that an expansive reading of the term sex, in quotes, could lead to anti-discrimination protection for, all right, are you ready? Rapists, and warned of consequences of the ruling, like the bullshit idea that allowing trans people access to their preferred restrooms and locker rooms were going to enable, are you ready? Yes, sexual predators. He also worried about trans athletes. They're so concerned. And school personnel having to use trans students' preferred pronouns, and religious schools not being able to discriminate against LGBTQ teachers and staff. So Kavanaugh's dissent went a different direction, objecting to the idea that the sex discrimination and sexual orientation discrimination have anything in common. Or they just basically have nothing in common. So, okay.
Bless their bigoted hearts. They're just so angry. Wait, and sidebar, a special guest is in the comments.
Oh, Miss Ann Walker.
Ann Walker's here to celebrate.
I love you, Ann Walker.
Ever the ally. And it is, y'all, it is important, and good to take that moment and celebrate the victory. This is a huge accomplishment fought by many LGBT advocates, and to these three plaintiffs for putting in years, literally, to be the example and be the cases. It's draining financially and emotionally, and so we celebrate this victory and then get back to the work today of continuing to fight onward.
So, Emerson, thank you for giving me this monologue.
Well, I'm going to tell everybody. Y'all, yesterday I had a roundup of several, because bless their bigoted hearts, the conservative, particularly religious conservatives, just lost their mind. How are they going to be able to discriminate? Their religion's being violated. I had several different responses, but I was waiting for a particular one that came through this morning as we knew it would. And so Dale gets to present Franklin Graham's response.
Yes, we have Franklin Graham as a guest on the show. I believe this decision erodes religious freedoms across the country. People of sincere faith who stand on God's work as their foundation for life should never be forced by the government or compromise their religious beliefs. Christian organizations should never be forced to hire people who do not align with their biblical beliefs, and should not be prevented from terminating a person whose lifestyle and beliefs undermine the ministry's purpose and goals. As a Bible-believing follower of Jesus Christ, my rights should be protected. Even if my sincerely held religious beliefs might be the minority, I still have the right to hold them. The same holds true for a Christian organization. These are freedoms our nation was founded on. The Supreme Court does not override and will never overturn the Word of God. One day, we will all have to stand before God, the righteous judge, whose decisions are not based on politics or the whims of cultures. His laws are true and are the same yesterday, today, and forever. I tweeted Franklin Graham.
Of course you did.
I said, dear Franklin Graham, please do not worry about the Supreme Court banning sex discrimination and employment discrimination based on sexual orientation or gender identity. No LGBTQ person wants to work for a fucking bigot. You're good.
Also, it goes back. One of my least favorite phrases, bullshit phrases, is that sincerely held religious beliefs. Y'all, it's just nonsense words, as opposed to your like insincerely held religious beliefs. And I've said it before, and I will say it again. I don't care why you believe what you believe, whether it's from the Lord Jesus Christ, from the Tooth Fairy, or you met a unicorn in a field once that just told you something you just took to heart. If what you believe is bigoted, congratulations, it's bigoted. We're not going to respect it, we're not going to defend it, and we're going to come for it every time you try to apply it to other people.
Yes. Preach, Emerson Collins.
I just hate that shit.
I love all the Sorted Lives cast is coming in the room. Rosemary Alexander just came in. Everybody's happy. We are happy about this decision.
It really is a great day. And related to it, there were two really, really significant protests that happened this weekend. On Sunday, 15,000 people gathered in Brooklyn for Black Trans Lives Matter, demanding justice for two recent victims of anti-Black, anti-trans violence, Raya Milton and Dominique Remy Falls, and trans man Tony McDade killed by the Tallahassee police. The protests were partially organized by an idea from drag performer West Dakota, inspired by a 1917 protest by the NAACP, which 10,000 people gathered in all white and stood up against anti-Black violence. The rest of the organizers were the Oprah Project, the Marsha P. Johnson Institute for the Girls, Gays and Lesbians Living in Transgender Society, GLITS, you may have seen a lot more from them lately, and Black Trans Femmes in the Arts. Activist Eliel Cruz, InStyle Special Projects editor Peyton Dix, and former out deputy editor Fran Tirado were very involved in the organizing. And the founder and executive director of GLITS announced that the group had crowdfunded $1 million to purchase real estate to house Black trans people released from Rikers prison. And the sister of Layleen Polanco, who died in solitary confinement at Rikers after being not checked on correctly repeatedly, expressed outrage and a newfound sense of hope upon seeing so many people show up specifically for Black trans lives. And then on the flip side, on our West Coast, we talked about the LA Pride Parade that went awry. Well, the protest march that happened in place of it turned over to All Black Lives Matter, and tens of thousands of people marched from Hollywood to West Hollywood. So two big showings specifically for Black trans lives within our community, and huge turnouts. It was really, really amazing to see people show up specifically for that part of our community.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, like so many of us who are staying at home and actually wearing our mask when we go out, and you know, I've said this to you, Emerson, and it was when I went out today even. I get anxiety. I still get anxiety. I sometimes wake up with anxiety and have to do breathing exercises. And so, you know, Houston and Texas has opened up very, very fast. And in Houston, two popular LGBTQ venues have temporarily shut their doors again after multiple staff tested positive for COVID-19. Christopher Berry, the owner of one of Buddy's, a beer bar, explained it on Facebook. They reopened on May the 22nd when the ban was lifted, took steps to implement all that they were supposed to do, social distancing, including spacing tables through the parking lot, taking people's temperature upon entry. Out of 57 pre-lockdown employees, only 9 were able to return to work. And he said, we just learned that 5 out of the 9 tested positive for COVID-19 after working. And he said, I am one of those people. I don't have an elevated temperature. I'm asymptomatic. I have a cough every once in a while. Still, it feels the most responsible thing to do. Close down the bar for the day, allow it to be deep cleaned by professional service, and then have all the employees tested before returning to work. Shortly after Barry's video came out, Blur Bar management posted a similar message saying, we value the safety of all of our customers, and accordingly, we have decided to close the club for up to 2 weeks due to some of our members of our staff having tested positive for the coronavirus. We will be deep cleaning during this period to make the club safe for your return. Please see our Facebook page for updates about the reopening. But they say we're going to make it safe. But what prevents? I want to know what prevents this from repeating again. And putting your employees at risk when it's.
Well, I mean, it sounds like they're responding appropriately to it.
Yes.
I feel like it's a cycle we're going to see continue for the next, who knows, months or year or longer, where we have to be cognizant of the spaces and how we behave in them. But at least they stepped up and very quickly said, hey, we've tested our staff and we've got to shut back down again.
Not
Greg,
I'm applauding them for that, Emerson. I don't want to be misunderstood. I didn't mean that they were being irresponsible. They did what they were told they should do, and it still backfired. That's my point.
Yeah, I understood that.
Yeah. Okay.
And then Governor Greg Abbott said he's trying to blame young people for being irresponsible after he was like, open the bars, open the clubs, open the gyms, do everything. Like, sir, you told people it was fine. People listen to your guidance. It's why what our elected officials say matters.
Yeah. So
bless them. Also, sidebar, if you are enjoying the show, we do this to entertain you. We do this to have a good time, to inform you about stories you may not have time to keep up with. If you're someone who's blessed financially and you've donated to all the important things happening right now and you still have a couple of dollars left over and want to contribute, you can tip on Venmo at Emerson Collins or on PayPal to beardcollinshoresproductions.com. And Ron, I saw you just say that you tried to send us on PayPal, but I checked it and there's nothing there for me to approve. So you may have typed in the email address incorrectly. So check that. I'll leave it up for a minute.
It's a long email address. It really is. But
it is.
Yeah. And because, I mean, y'all have to understand, it's not just, us sitting here reading this news. Emerson spends hours and then I show up. But I did have to rehearse that monologue. I had to that was all the way to Santa Monica and back. I was going over that Franklin Graham monologue. I don't know. I think I could have gotten a call back if I were up for the role of Franklin Graham.
As our special guest will be able to attest, I do spend hours reading the stories, researching them, rewriting them so that they sound right as we share them with you. We don't just wing this shit.
Okay, I'm being like silly. It is absolutely the truth. So if you want to give Emerson a little more money, please do. He does way more work than I do.
It's fine. I've been riding your coattails a long time. We can share it.
And I love the way that you have started actually putting profanity in the stories that you give me.
I do.
Written in, which is just thrilling to me.
I write them in his voice.
That bullshit.
Another quick, exciting, on its way to accomplishment. In Colorado, Democrats and Republicans have passed a bill that takes away panic as a defense against assaulting a gay or trans person. So it moves now to the desk of openly gay Governor Jared Polis to sign. This was the second attempt to pass this legislation this session, and it was sponsored by Breanne Titone, a Democrat and the state's first trans legislator, and a Republican, Matt Soper. So good work in Colorado in getting rid of the ability for people to say, I was scared of that trans person.
I can't believe you in Oklahoma. All they're doing is preparing for that Republican convention. And you know what? That rally in Tulsa.
I know. We do send our thoughts and prayers to the good Democrats of Tulsa, Oklahoma this weekend with the bigots arriving in town, maskless for their ego-stroking vanity venture.
You know what? I'm so supportive of those rallies. I am very supportive. Get together, y'all, and do what your leader says. Do not wear that mask. It's okay. All I have to say is November the 3rd. November
on its way.
Fucking 3rd. All right. I love that Scott Nevins is on the show today because there is nobody that is an angrier Democrat, except for maybe Ann Walker, than Scott Nevins. So I feel like that. Okay, onward and forward. I have to tell you, Emerson, you sent me this story, made me cry. It's such a beautiful story. Alyssa Cahill is a musician who has been working on the front lines during NYC's coronavirus pandemic. Is a nurse at a local ICU. Monday was her birthday. And for the first time, she has seen her girlfriend of 8 years. Her girlfriend had been staying upstate while Cahill worked long shifts, helping very sick patients, staying quarantined from all her family and friends. The couple reunited at a riverside courtyard, and Cahill wanted to meet Trin during the 7 p.m. nightly cheer because her sister sent her a video of it every night to keep her encouraged. As Trin arrived, that's her fiance, her fiance in the courtroom, residents lined the area and stood on their balconies looking down on a chalked rainbow heart that one of Cahill's friends had marked on the sidewalk where Cahill stood waiting for Trin to arrive. On one of the balconies, a trumpet player played the Beatles' All You Need Is Love, and Cahill surprised her with a proposal ring saying, "Love is what it will be," from a song that she wrote. And that's how she proposed to her girlfriend, now her fiance. And that's I just love that story so much. It was like a scene in a movie.
And I love it so much too. And that she's this frontline, she's been working on the front lines. It's a reminder of how many people from our community work in frontline healthcare. And I just thought, them being able to find that sweet moment amid all of the insanity that's happening. It's important that you don't wait to celebrate, There's
gotta be video on that. I need to see some video.
There is, if you go on the internet.
On that link and see it. All right.
Well, all right. There's an exciting, we talked about Love, Simon way back when it came out, and the brand new television series of it, Love, Victor, premieres tomorrow on Hulu, and we got a special preview link, and so we got to watch some of the episodes.
How many did you watch?
I watched 8.
Wow, I watched 3.
There's only 10, y'all. Blake and I sat down last night because I was like, we're going to watch this on the show. When I watched 2, we watched 4 hours of it. We just burned through the show.
Well, it's very short. They're like 25 minutes each. They're very short. So I'm interested in your take on it because I love the movie so much.
I thought it was a very sweet continuation of that same genre, right? Harmless, young, 14, like good. It's almost, Disney-fied Nickelodeon version of like young queer angst. I thought it addressed a few of some people's issues with the first one, that this like attractive white boy that could easily be popular, how hard is his life? Now we have an attractive Latino boy struggling with his identity. And they use a device in the show of him writing Simon the way Simon wrote before, saying, "Dear Simon, my life is nothing like yours." To sort of address that. And I thought that was smart. And it's sweet. My real thought early on was, stop writing this white boy that doesn't live, that you don't know. Stop asking him for advice. You don't know him. But it does become relevant in a way that's very pleasant as well.
Well, I'm on 3. So I mean, here's the way I'm going to be honest. I was a little bit, at first I was going, oh, the acting, the writing, it just felt a little Disney. It felt a little over the top for me at times, and then it settled. It started to settle, and I'm glad, I hope it settles even more. But
I felt like it was exactly the same tone as the movie.
I didn't think the caliber of the work was as strong at first. I mean, for some of the supporting characters, not him. I love the kid playing Victor, and
Who are you talking about?
I'm talking about the best friend. He was just so over the top.
In that style of show, that character is always that way. I mean, like it was that way in Teen Wolf. There's always the like nerdy, smart, super talker person that wants to be your best friend. It's such a teen television trope type.
I thought the star waiting to happen is I don't know her name, the girlfriend.
Mia. I thought she was amazing, but also like her best friend is BB Wood, that was on The Real O'Neills as the like young daughter with the glasses.
There's an example of that character could have gone the way of the guy that I wasn't that crazy about, and she was grounded and real, and she had some scenes. I mean, like I said, I got through 3 episodes, but I loved her stuff with the guy, the date that I don't.
But she was just as absurd in the pilot. I think it's
that's why
I said
love him. He settled. She's settled. He hasn't settled yet. She's
Gotcha.
settled. Anyway, that's just you know that's and I always hesitate to say anything negative.
No, it's great.
It was so positive. It's not that you should watch it. I strongly advise you to watch it. It's got some real interesting family issues going on that I think I was like, what? That was a nice twist I didn't see coming. So there's some nice twists and turns. So
well, also though, I will say it was rather traumatic to see Ana Ortiz be the mom when she was like the annoying sister on Ugly Betty.
I love her.
And she's now the mother.
Yeah, she's now the mom. I love.
And I loved the daughter, the sister.
Fantastic.
Pilar.
Yeah. So much more positive. I don't want anybody to think that my little.
Well, that's okay. We don't all have to like all parts of everything, but you should check it out. It premieres on Hulu tomorrow. I don't know if they're releasing it one at a time or all at once, but check it out. Maybe we'll see what y'all thought of it on Friday. Y'all watch it. And
let's regroup and see if what y'all think.
All right. Well, we have very exciting guests today waiting in the wings.
Like
you know them, you love them. What?
Literally in your wings.
No, literally they're in the other room, and you'll get to see. I'm in Studio C. Now we're going to get ready to go to Studio A here at the Nevins Hodges home in Palm Springs. You know them, you love them. They were my co-stars on the People's Couch. We have host extraordinaire Scott Nevins, and of course singer-songwriter Blake McIver. And now we will welcome them to the show. Hi, boys.
Hello. Hi from the living room.
It's
literally
so odd. It's so odd to get someone in a two-shot. We don't get that very often.
Never. We got real fancy for you, Dale.
Thank you. As I was ranting, Scott, I was reminded. I don't know if you were listening, but I was like, yeah, Scott's right there with me. Scott rants.
I am the other angry Democrat. Look, I wore my shirt that says "Love wins" because of the Supreme Court ruling. You know, we must celebrate amongst the dragons
again.
Now we can go be so gay at work.
So gay. I'm gonna bring in pictures of people who aren't even my husband, just shirtless pictures of people.
But also, let's be honest, Blake, you said something about this. Isn't it really just like, oh look, all the gay people and trans people that are employed, stop bragging?
Yeah, literally, stop bragging. Also, I need to get one of those job things so that I can be gay at it.
Yeah,
I'm not familiar with this job you speak of.
Don't you think though that like people who work in like very corporate jobs are going to be so excited that like today and tomorrow they're going to show up in like rainbow suits with like, glitter flags and pictures of like their loved ones in front of the Eiffel Tower kissing? Like it's going to explode and they'll be like, bitch, try and fire me now.
Yeah, I'm not going to butch it up anymore, motherfucker.
No longer.
Just walk that hallway like a runway. Where? The conference room? To the left.
It's a really bad day though for all those mask gays that are like, no, I'm just gay. That's not like everything about me. I play basketball.
Just a part of
gay.
me.
It's just part of me. It's not my whole identity.
I don't like to be.
They're having a rough day.
It's a lot.
Speaking of mask gays, I wanted to congratulate the two of you mask gays on your live stream, which was so incredible. And both of us especially know how hard it is to do those things. And between you guys doing this show and Emerson was like doing monologues and producing and hosting, you guys killed it on every level. And I know you raised a lot of money for some important smaller theaters. So I congratulate you.
Thank you. It was a lot of work. I think Emerson's work had a lot to do with the producing of it. I mean, as y'all know how great he is as a producer. So there was no way I could have done it without this amazing person right here. I was sorting costumes a lot. That was my contribution. But we have now raised. Thank you for bringing it up. We have now raised over $71,000 for producers that we get to split with them, and it's growing and growing. And there's another probably $5,000 coming in before the end of the day.
Amazing. That's amazing. Question though. I have a question,
yes.
Emerson, before you go on. Were there any Rue McClanahan items that didn't sell? Because you do have a huge Golden Girls fan here. I and my partner did make a contribution. I didn't know I should have made one and bid on something. So if you have like an old bra that she wore or like dirty panties, I'll take them. I love Rue McClanahan.
I'm trying to think if I think they all sold, Scott. I'll dig a little bit, but I think all of Peggy's stuff sold.
The Golden Girls fans are intense. They're right behind the Olivia fans for like not letting stuff sit on the shelves.
No, they were bidding. They were bidding on that stuff.
And if you are watching and if you have questions for Blake or Scott about literally anything or about our lives, work, quarantine, commune, write them in the comments. But we will use that discussion of I was producing my live stream here in Studio C, and Scott has been working hard on a live stream that he is producing that airs this Friday. So tell us about that while I bring it up.
Sure. So I was asked to volunteer to produce and host a live stream, an all-star celebrity live stream for Desert AIDS Project, which is an amazing organization here in Palm Springs that serves the whole Coachella Valley. Not only do they serve people living with HIV, they are a full health, mental health, dental health service community center. And they wanted to do one of these live streams. And I said, well, I've been a guest star on a bunch of them. I've become a nerd for the technology, as Blake and Emerson know. And I've been like spending hours learning how to do it. And so we came up with this idea for a live stream. And I called a bunch of my friends and said, would you maybe sing a song? And honestly, everyone said yes very quickly. The most exciting part, we have a lot of celebrities, but the real big celebrities are in the opening skit, which stars Blake McIver, Emerson Collins, and myself running around Palm Springs during quarantine with masks. It was nuts. But it's this Friday, 7 o'clock, and you can register at desertaidsproject.org/hope, H-O-P-E. And it's going to be so fun. We have Kristen Chenoweth. Let's see if I can do it, Emerson. Ready?
Yeah.
Kristen Chenoweth, Betty Buckley, Megan Hilty, Brian Gallagher, Matthew Morrison, Ann Hampton Calloway, Saquon Sengblow, Max Von Essen, Blake McIver, Emerson Collins, and Christina Bianco, and Carla Jimenez from the MIC. They all have tons of awards, tons of TV shows. I mean, I'm working this Thursday at CBS if you want to see me, but they're actually working and doing things in the entertainment field. So it's a huge celebrity lineup and it's going to be so fun.
Hey,
and I just put the link to register to watch the live stream into the chat. So it just popped up in all of your feeds.
Thank you. Yes, Del, my dear.
I just wanted to give you a little trivia. You know where I live. Above me used to be Matthew's little place when he got Glee. Yeah.
Really?
So I still get some of his mail. And when I first moved in, because Caroline Ray used to own this house, and I had some former lease agreements because I was helping her with some things, and I saw his email, and I didn't really have any good mail. I just had some like bullshit mail, but I emailed him just to see. And he emailed me back, sure, here's my new address, forward it on. And I was like,
oh, he's sweet. He's a good boy. He does a song for us off of, he's going to do Go the Distance from his new Disney album. So like it's a whole night of like really uplifting, hopeful songs because we feel like we all need some hope right now. So we're going to give you a little dosage of hope. It's 1 hour, 7 p.m. Pacific this Friday.
Well, Scott,
not like our 3.5 hour extravaganza, y'all. This is like grab your dinner, sit, see a nice little show, and then enjoy your Friday night.
In, out, bing, bang,
boom. We cooked dinner. I cleaned the house. We did a 3-act play, and you guys were still like in scene 2.
Someone wrote me a couple of days ago, and they go, "Where is it? I only got through chapters 1 and 2." I said, sorry, equity won't allow us to have it up anymore. So they missed Brother Boy. But Scott, I really applaud you for that. And you said something that resonated with me because there was an amazing feeling that I got when I asked Emerson. I was a little nervous, honestly, to start making calls and asking, will you do this? Will you do this? So the way I did it, I started with the big ones. I started with Olivia. And when Olivia said yes and Bo said yes, and then I said, well, now I'm going to go to Bonnie. And then I'm going to go to, and what was really beautiful is that not one. I mean, there were a couple that were not, able to do it, but most everybody was just so quick to say yes to help.
But you guys sort of had the same problem I had, which is like it was hard to be like who's the big star to start with because they're all big stars. So it was like I just pointed at a name on a page because I was like I got to start somewhere. And obviously you call like your closer friends, like you called Olivia, but like it's a process, and I think people don't realize how much work goes into creating one of these things, and that's why I was so impressed with you guys. You had an auction, you had it was so much going on. It was crazy.
And Blake and I didn't even complain that we're at the bottom of the poster. Anne says she adores you. Wait, Scott, we have a real question, I think. I'm not sure if you'll know the answer, but Ron asked, could you explain the opportunity drawing? Is that part of the evening?
Yeah, so it's really cool. So you can actually register online, which you should do at desertagesproject.org/hope, because you'll get an alert the day of the show saying, hey, make sure to watch tonight. But we have different sections that you can register under. So you can register, for free, you can register and make a donation, or you could register and make a donation that puts you into these drawings where you could win some really cool prizes. So I say go for it. I mean, we want to raise some money, but we want to send you home with some gifts. I want to be like Rosie O'Donnell when she had her show, when she was a happy lesbian. And I want to send people home with things. And so if we can send you home with some prizes, I say go register and get in there for those opportunity drawings because they're going to be cute.
Oh, so it's Prizeo, because we have that Prizeo thing still going where they get a Zoom sort of cast thing or something.
Ooh, nice.
And look, Scott is still smiling even though we've been living in his house for 3 months.
Miracle. Wait, I want to show something to the audience members. Ready? We all, on the People's Couch, we all loved our Cheez-Its, right? And I feel like Emerson looks a little hungry, so I'll be right back.
I see
look, we're doing comedy. We're doing a bit.
It's a bit.
I brought you your Cheez-Its. Thanks so much. Oh. We're doing studio work.
That landed. That one landed. I was worried.
We're ruining the illusion.
Now it's like Grease Live. I feel like I need to get in my golf cart to be driven to the next set.
Yes.
House is big though, guys. That was a run in flip-flops.
Okay, stop bragging. We get it.
But okay, so let's start. Okay, great. I'm so happy you're supporting Desert Aids. We love Desert Aids. We walk for them every year, and it's one of my favorite organizations. So thank you for doing that. I want to ask Blake, I heard you got something coming up that I'm so excited about.
The very next night, actually. Yes, what's happening with Blake's Barbara concert? It is happening for the first time. I'm doing Blake Sings Barbara, the concert, live on Stage It, which is a platform for artists and musical acts to share their shows with people virtually. And I'm super excited. I've done the show over the past 4 years. I've done it in LA, New York, Texas, and I'm super excited to bring it to, I guess, the whole country, technically, because anybody can watch it.
The whole world.
It is on, I guess the whole world. On Stage It is, in order to get around the sort of performance rights issues, Stage It has tokens that you purchase. It's 100 tokens, which equates to $10. And you can find out all the information on my Facebook page, which is Blake McIver Official. I have all of that up there. It's a really fun, sort of ridiculous evening and peek into my absurd mind. Barbra Streisand's 1994 comeback concert became my obsession as a 9-year-old kid. And in 1994, I was in my 2nd season of Full House and filming The Little Rascals. So I take you through my 1994 with stories and songs from her 1994 concert. So even if you know nothing about Barbra Streisand or dislike Barbra Streisand, you will still enjoy the show.
I think we have a clip. Don't we have a clip?
Oh, we do. Hold on just one moment.
This is like Good Morning America.
Everybody cross your fingers.
Let's see if it plays. I didn't know they were doing
this. My fingers hurt.
Our tech there. Here we go.
Be quiet.
Oh wow. There she is.
Someone asked for the link, and Emerson's going to probably put that up.
We can't hear you.
This is amazing. We can't hear Emerson.
Emerson, unmute yourself.
Yeah, okay, none of y'all do the electronics or anything, and you can stop trying to produce or direct this show.
Excuse me, I've done electronics. Come on.
Emerson is like, as I said earlier, I just kind of sit here, just hoping that the ring light works. Hoping plugged in my Ethernet. That's all. That's it for me. But Emerson does everything. But that was great. That was so good. I was at that show.
Yes, you were. You were at the very first incarnation of Blake Sings Barbara.
I was.
All of you were.
It's so good.
The ticket link is in the chat now. And yes, the date was wrong because Blake was going to do it on June the 6th. And of course, that was the weekend of the George Floyd protests began. And he obviously felt it was disrespectful to pull attention away from that.
It didn't seem right at the time. And what's interesting, though, about the show is the first half of it is ridiculous and silly and full of frivolous anecdotes and stories and things. But it's interesting, as I've been rehearsing the second half of the show to get ready for this live stream, there's quite a bit about it that is very timely and poignant. And a lot of the things that she said in '94 that I quote in this concert are actually still very relevant. So I do feel like there is a different resonance in some of the tonal shifts of the second half of the show. So I'm excited to share it with everybody.
In the world of natural disasters and catastrophes, I'm obsessed with the '94 concert. So I went to see his show several times, obviously, because I love him, but also I love Barbara and that concert. It is so brilliant, guys. You have to buy your tickets right now. You will piddle your pants. It's so brilliant. Like, just trust me on this. If you don't trust me on anything in the world, it's so good. $10, please. You can't get a mellow roll for $10.
You can't get a mellow roll.
And he really is that super fan, because when I got cast in Buyer and Seller years ago, suddenly there was like a Barbra Streisand boot camp that he required me to go through, not the director or producers of the play, but that he felt I needed to know and understand in order to actually accomplish this performance.
It was a very tense couple of weeks.
It's like aggressive.
I saw her live before that. When I first moved out here, she was campaigning for McGovern, and she had not done a concert for many, many, many years. I said, I can't remember what theater it was here in LA, but when I came to Los Angeles, as a straight male, I came with 28 Barbra Streisand albums in my thing. So I'm a big fan too, and I love that the other day that she actually bought stock for George Floyd's daughter. I thought that was really sweet. So she's political.
She is. We get into it. We'll get into it on Saturday night.
Silence. There's suddenly silence with these four people.
Well, I talk to them all the time.
So, all right. Well, let's talk a little bit. So, Scott, let's go political for a little bit. How are you feeling about everything about Biden now? I know you weren't on the Biden train originally. Right? Or you were?
Oh, no, I this is the first time I've ever saying this publicly. I voted for him in the primary.
Oh, I did not. I got a little confused. I apologize.
Yeah, no, I mean, I was a big fan of Elizabeth Warren.
That's what I thought. Because I was.
I love Kamala Harris. And then, but when and Pete Buttigieg, but when I saw what was happening and I sort of was looking at the crystal ball of it all, I knew I wanted to throw my support behind Joe. And I think, listen, we have a lifetime to go before the elections, but Trump is such a moron that things are really playing in Joe's favor in the polls. And before everyone says the polls were wrong in 2016, they actually weren't. If you know how to read polls, they weren't. There were warning signs 2 weeks out that people just glossed over and ignored. With that said, never trust polls. We need to work like we are 10 points behind, or like we're Donald Trump, because he's 10 points behind. So I think we have a lot of work to do. I think we have a lot of outreach to do. Seeing so many people and so many young people of color take to the streets, and also seeing how much more we can do. We have to get this monster out of office. And stop fighting with Trump supporters. Don't answer them on Facebook. Don't answer them on Twitter. Our voters. Focus on our voters.
I'm really, and I know that you're a little even more than I am when it comes to there. I'm not even going to say which candidates, but even within our own party, it's like, let's just unite now. It's done. It's done. Whether you like it, let's Anyway,
I don't totally agree with that. And here's why. We are still in the time where we have the opportunity to change Joe Biden's positions on things heading into the election. There's really negative fighting happening, absolutely, that I think is what you're talking about. But there's also like accountability and pulling left on issues that are important to significant populations within the primary that can be used to drive turnout. Now, I'm not saying like the people screaming terrible things at each other, but there is also conflict that is about making different sections in the base in different places enthusiastic that isn't inherently negative to me.
Yeah. Well, like Emerson and Blake and my fiance Philip and I had an interesting conversation the other night when I said that the phrase defund the police was bombing last week in polls. Like people did not support it. But then when you dug deeper, people supported all of what it meant. They didn't support the slogan. And unfortunately, we live in a world of slogans, right? Make America great again, blah, blah, blah. So I think, any infighting, and you saw Joe Biden was like, well, I'm not for defunding the police, but then he comes around and says, but I'm for doing these things, and sort of rebranded it all, which we knew he was going to do. That's what Emerson's talking about. We have a way to take this candidate and say, we support you, but you need to do some stuff for us. You need to really move this platform forward. And I think enough people believe in Joe Biden, and I think enough people trust Joe Biden. And I think when you fuse those two together, and then you bring up the progressives who say, listen, we want to get on board, but we need to see that you're serious, I think we have a winning team. And I don't care if it's Kamala, Warren, I think we have a winning ticket.
I agree, and I agree with you too, Emerson. I wasn't talking about that. I'm talking about these people. I had to unfollow somebody the other day. I muted for a while and then unfollowed because it got to be to the point. I will never support him. I'm going to do the Green Party. Yeah. Somebody named Adam.
Yeah,
but we know that doesn't work.
And that's when I go, okay, stop being divisive. I mean, you're doing exactly the same thing that we say that Trump is the big divider. You're doing the same thing within our party. So I understand what you're saying, Emerson.
And that's exactly what right-wing Republicans want. They want us to fight with each other so that they can say, oh, look at them. They can't even get it together. Like that, you're playing into the problem. We gotta listen to each other.
Yes. And then it's also important to not just say, shut up and get on board, because that's not a productive conversation in that direction.
Absolutely not. But likewise, it's like, there's, he's just as bad if you vote or whatever. I mean, it's just like, I just can't. So.
All right. Well.
First choice. So, but he's mine now. So there we go.
Well, and on that note, shall we let Blake sing us a song before we get out of here?
Fuck yeah.
Blake's going to give us a preview from his show. What did you pick, Blake? Tell us.
I picked one of my favorite covers that she does from the second half of the concert. You have to buy a ticket to hear like People and the Way We Were in Evergreen and all that. Sorry. I gotta hold back. But it's interesting. We've been having so many conversations about like what it means to be a good ally, what it means to speak up for each other and to speak up for the most marginalized people in our community and to listen when they have requests of us as white people, especially right now. We need to listen first and talk second. And so again, as I was rehearsing this song from the concert, it resonated differently with me this week than it ever has. I've always kind of done this as like a sweet little dedication to somebody personal in the audience or somebody who's important to me. And it kind of, when I was singing it this week, the message kind of spread much wider as far as how I was receiving it and singing it. And so hopefully that will be a message that rings true to people.
Well, sing it. We want to hear it.
All right.
I'm going to play the role of a Blake McIver fan, so I'm going to get out of the scene.
All right. Let's see if my tech works. Nothing's gonna harm you, not while I'm around. Nothing's gonna harm you, no sir, not while I'm around. Demons are prowling everywhere nowadays. I'll send them howling, I don't care. I've got ways. Nothing's gonna hurt you. No one's gonna dare. Others can desert you, not to worry. Whistle, I'll be there. Demons will charm you with a smile for a while, but in time, nothing can harm you. Not while I'm around. Being close and being clever ain't like being true. I don't need to, I would never hide a thing from you like so. No one's gonna hurt you, no one's gonna dare. Others can desert you, not to worry. Whistle, I'll be there. Demons will charm you with a smile for a while, but in a time, nothing can harm you. Not while I'm
Amazing! Yay! And that is such a good message as allies for us to send to our Black queer friends and our Black friends. Nothing will harm you, not while we're around. That is such a lovely sentiment. Thank you so much for joining us, Scott. Remind us again, Friday night, 7 o'clock.
Friday night, 7 o'clock, you can go to desertaidsproject.org/hope and register or donate. You can do both at that page, and we'll see you on Friday night, 7 o'clock Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern.
And Blake, Saturday night?
And Saturday night, 6:30 Pacific, 9:30 Eastern at stageit.com/Blake_McIver.
All right, get your tickets, watch the shows. Thank you all so much for being with us. I'll see you in like 3 minutes.
It's been so great seeing you boys. I miss you.
Thank you, Del. Miss you too.
Thanks for having us on.
All right. We'll see you soon. All right.
It's so, bless his heart. What he's doing with this show really is amazing. And Blake's concert is amazing. And Scott has been the greatest. Scott and Phil have been so generous to share their home with us for 3 months, to give us a place to lock down. And as we have said before, thank you for tuning in wherever you watch it. When the broadcast is done, you can share it with your friends. If you want to send us a tip to support us continuing to do this twice a week, sharing what's good and ridiculous and news and nonsense and LGBTQ culture, you can tip us on Venmo at Emerson Collins or on PayPal, beardcollinshoresproductions.com.
I've loved this show, Emerson. I had a great time with you today, and thank you, Scott and Blake, for joining us. And we will see you on Friday and have more to say.
Yes. So take care of yourself, take care of your friends, and we'll be back real soon.
Bye, y'all.